by a federal high court sitting in Port Harcourt. IBAS has also appointed a new chairman and members of the River State Independent Electoral Commission in view of conducting local government elections in the state. Now, a public announcement released by the Secretary to the state government, Lucky Warioka, noted that all the appointments took effect from last Monday. In a separate development, IBAS also cancelled all pending procurement and tender processes carried out by ministries, departments and agencies in the state. He said the cancellation became necessary following the Supreme Court judgment and the absence of an appropriation law within the period. Now, IBAS's decision came less than 24 hours after a federal high court judge ordered him to appear before him now to justify why the court should not grant a motion seeking to stop him from appointing administrators for the 23 local government areas. Well, let's try to dissect all of this. And now being joined on the program by legal practitioner Fred Nzako, who joins us from Lagos. Also joining us from Abuja is another legal expert and political affairs analyst, Adewale Ajadi. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on the program. Let me start with you, Mr. Ajadi. The actions now taken by the sole administrator with regards to the appointment of the 23 caretaker, I don't know whether to call them administrators now, administrators at the local government level. What's your take on it? Of course, we know this is subject, is a subject of litigation, but then he's gone ahead to appoint them. But there's a debate as to whether he has that powers to do it.
Well, if there's a court order that tells him not to do it, it stands to reason. Simple separation of powers, the constitutional powers, these are very straightforward things. But one would give him the benefit of doubt that maybe he was not aware of the court order or the actions. There are other things we don't know about. But it seems to me very straightforward.
But look, if there was no court order in the first place, would he have the powers to do it? I mean, to appoint administrators? Because some of the arguments before now is that, look, whether there was a court order or not, that he doesn't have the powers to appoint administrators for local government administration in the state.
Well, this is just a wider debate as to whether his appointment was legal or not, where it's a wider issue whether the last decision of the Supreme Court granting a certain autonomy to the local government covers these issues. But those are wider arguments. Those are fairly more complex, and the court will eventually decide this matter. They're arguable. But the real issue is, could he make a decision against a court order, a subsisting court order that prevents him from doing that? That's the real no-brainer in the whole issue. The others are arguable by lawyers on either side. But the fundamental issue is, should he be in the position whereby he's now put himself, where he's made a decision to appoint these people, and there's an existing court order saying that he should suspend those things until this matter is brought duly before the court and properly argued from his side.
Mr. Nzako, of course, the sole administrator has been summoned by the court. He is to appear before the judge to explain his reasons and all of that. Of course, we'll wait for the outcome of that process now, what he has to put forward as a defense. But looking at all of this, would you say that the sole administrator, even if there was no court order, actually had the powers to appoint local government administrators?
I do not think, in all seriousness and in all honesty, that his mandate goes to include appointment of sole administrators for local government areas. His mandate could be gleaned from the address by Mr. President on the day he was announced, on the day the state of emergency was declared, and thereafter it was announced. Naturally, in matters like this, because he's not an elected governor of the state, he was appointed by the president upon the creation of state of emergency. We expect that there should be a job description for him. And people will very easily believe or feel that the job description is to hold on, ensure there is peace and harmony in River State, And when things are put in proper perspective, then he can now hand over and leave the stage, because he was not elected to lead the state as a governor. Now, whether he has the authority to appoint administrators for local government is very arguable. And I stand on the side to say that he does not have such authority. His mandate does not include that, because on two reasons, on two grounds. One, the Supreme Court has ordered in a judgment recently that any local government that is not run by elected leadership should not benefit from federation account allocation. And that was why Mr. Simfubara held a local government election that eventually was swept off by the same Supreme Court. Now, the heads of local governments that are equal in ranking to permanent secretaries in the ministries are the ones holding forth now, holding on the management and the running the affairs of local government. And essentially, they are civil servants. So they are not political appointees, neither are they administrators. They are civil servants, they are heads of the system. So I believe that the Supreme Court order will be kind to heads of local government, in which case they would draw money from federation account and run the local governments the way they are expected to do so, and not the sole administrators. And I strongly believe that the appointment of sole administrators for local government is ultra fires the capacity, the mandate, and the powers of the sole administrator of the state. So, and moreover, the court has also given an order that he should not do so, and he went ahead and did so. My good friend, Mr. Jadi, said you give him benefit of the doubt. He may not have known, but I tell you that there is no such doubt. He is aware. He is only not obeying the court order. And if you still continue to give him benefit of the doubt, let us watch and see whether he will go to court to defend his action, which of course is indefensible.
Can it be argued? I'm just wondering. Can it be argued that, look, under a state of emergency, you would not expect that, everything would go, you would expect that extraordinary measures, just as the Constitution said, would be taken. And so that, the sole administrator's actions now can be excused because we're talking about an emergency here. And that, look, whether we like it or not, governance, there needs to be some form of governance, even at the local government level. So could that be an excuse for these appointments?
The situation now in Rivers and actions and pronouncements of the sole administrator of the state points to the fact that the sole administrator is now playing politics. He seems to be overreaching himself and be playing politics of Rivers State by the actions and his pronouncement. Because he seems to be upstaging, thwarting, and removing all the existing structure that was planted by Sim Cobra, and replacing them with structure that are loyal to Mr. Wike. That is the opinion of people of River.
That's the opinion of some people.
That's the opinion of many people in River State, those who are on ground. I'm not on ground, but his actions, I know, goes beyond his mandate. The mandate was to hold peace in Rivers and not to upstage the structure. So, but what he's doing is that he's removing every appointee. So, are they not people? Are they not Rivers people? So, what is the ground for removing almost all the appointees that were made by the governor? So, if anybody wants to argue that the people who believe that he's playing politics are not correct, what else is he doing? The mandate says, keep the peace in Rivers, because Mr. President said that it was on account of two major issues. One, demolition of the House of Assembly. So if he's facing the issue of House of Assembly complex now, that will be fine. Of course, the work is ongoing. The second one was that there was a bomb blast, and there was an accusation against the governor that he was in bed with agitators and boys who detonated the bomb. Those were the arguments. So, having been brought in as a naval officer, the whole idea is that he knows the sea and the water and all that are going on in the seas and in the water. And that was why he was applauded by some section of the country that Solomon has come to judgment. But he seems to most people that he's now playing the politics of rivers even more than rivers people.
All right.
So it is important
Mr.
to
Jadi, you know, the appointment of this sole administrator, I mean, was always going to be very controversial. And, you know, the position, of course, whoever, I mean, there's no question at all that, you know, the sole administrator will be walking a fine line in most of his actions, considering, you know, the foul political environment he's operating in. But you look at all of this and some of what Mr. Nzako has said. What would be your take on them?
Well, I think that in retrospect, the president ought to reconsider how he's done this. The intention to try and stabilize the situation might be, unfortunately, add fuel to the fire that exists in Rivers State. I know Rivers State very well, and I worked there for a few years. And unfortunately, I mean, not to too personalizing, unfortunately, it takes a great deal of restraint to work in that environment without adding more problems to the situation. And that means that there should be at least an effort to consult with the people on all sides, to take decisions with restraints and patience, to exercise judgment that wins the confidence of the majority of the people, not act like he is. He's an ex-military officer. And I would have never put an ex-military officer in that situation because it sends two very important messages. One, that when we're in crisis, the military people are the best people to resolve this situation. That's a very dangerous thing to put out there. Secondly, and perhaps most importantly, that the concerns and the tribulations of the people are subject to that of the ruling classes. That's not true either. And whatever the competition is between the ruling classes, effort should be made to ensure that the voice of the people predominates the choices that are being made. I would have wanted the president to consult with the people widely before making such decisions and to ensure that there is some kind of body that person can interact with. Right now, he's making sole decisions based on his own judgment. You can't fault him. That's his own experience. But the consequences will be far-reaching. And no matter how wise he is, he's going to upset quite a lot of the people in those decisions. But be that as it may, I think you don't start by ignoring court orders of any sort. The constitutionality of governance in Nigeria is the predominant issue. If you're acting extra-constitutionally in any way or manner, you are sowing seeds of incredible discord in a place like Rivers, because there are people willing and ready to take over such situation, exploit it, and create chaos.
Now, something else I want to ask you. Look, you look at the situation in Rivers State. You would expect that by now, all the sides of the conflict would be trying to come together, you know, to try and resolve their differences. You know, you'd be expecting some kind of rapprochement among themselves, you know. You expect that, you know, you see some kind of peace process or initiative going on. But what we're seeing is that all the camps are digging in. They are digging in and digging in hard. So isn't that a problem as well?
Well, it is certainly a problem, but you have to understand we used to talk when I used to work in Rivers about the economy of violence in Rivers State, not just in Rivers State, across the Niger Delta, in fact. There are always actors in place ready to exploit any signs of conflict. And the most important thing is to help the people develop solutions and ways to resolve it. The sole administrator has the primary responsibility to build confidence and do fence mending measures across the board. He's not there to judge one side as being right, side as being wrong. And I can understand why my colleague thinks that he's being political in that case. Because if he takes action that doesn't seem to consider how other people, the different perspectives in the state, you face this kind of consequences.
No, but let's face it. Let's face it. Is it the responsibility of the sole administrator to reconcile these politicians? I mean, can these politicians actually begin the process on their own? I mean, why do they have to? Why do they need the sole administrator to do that for them?
Well, to at least pacify the situation. If he's not there to pacify the situation, why is he the sole administrator? What the impression we were given was that he was nominated to that position to stabilize the situation and to prevent greater conflict from occurring. Well, then that is the essence of it. It is to pacify the people, to make sure that there is rapprochement, and that when there is elections, it is not in a tense environment where the people can't effectively vote and select, or whatever it is that is decided is the next stage.
Mr. Zaka, tell me what you think about this. I mean, this idea of all the sides digging in and not yielding ground at all. It's a problem.
Yes, it's a problem. The rapprochement you expected from them, the unification that one expected from them, will not come because they are not digging in because of the welfare of the people. They are digging in because of their political survival, their political interest, and the strengthening of their political structure. And when politics is all about self, myself, and I, the people's interest and welfare becomes not just secondary, but very, very abysmal. And that is exactly what is going on in Rivers. The gladiators are more interested in themselves, defending their political family, defending their political hegemony and structure, than thinking of the interests of the people. It's only when they think of the welfare and the interests of the people that the rapprochement will make a meaning. And when you call them to a round table to negotiate and discuss, then they will come willingly to be able to continue to serve the people. But in this particular instance, the such unity will be very, very perfect. And I agree with my colleague that the sole administrator has a mandate to unify the people and not to play politics in the place. Because some of the actions he's taking are actions that are far-fetched, that are very, very far-reaching. Take, for example, the constitution of State Independent Electoral Commission. So what does that tell you? It tells you that the man may not be willing or ready to leave at the expiration of the 6 months.
No, but he doesn't have a choice, does he?
Well, he has a choice. He could lobby for an extension.
No.
And he could create the circumstances and the environment that will compel Mr. President to extend for him. And that is why the people of Rivers are shouting now that, oh, look, the man has come to play politics. They are trying to send signal to Mr. President that he has sent a big politician to Rivers State. So when the people in Abuja hear that, they will begin to watch. And it is important that, because Mr. President says anything he needs consultation, he should consult with Abuja. So I think it is important that he consult. Well, because the way he's going, I do not think it is within the mandate that was given to him.
Well, at the end of the day, I think he will still have to answer to the National Assembly because we know that his mandate was later amended. So we'll just wait and see how it all plays out. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on the program. Unfortunately, we're out of time. Adewale Ajadi, thank you very much for your time. Fred and Zako, thanks also for coming. Thank you. All right, we'll take a short break and we'll be right back. Stay with us. Don't go away. Opinions are free. Facts are sacred. The truth is universal. How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
When you go into public office, you must be ready to answer to the people.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On TV360, We give you a complete dose of everything: opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians say in this part of the world. A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
TV360, dissecting the issues. Welcome back. Now, Nigeria's health system is struggling due to the brain drain of medical professionals, leading to shortages of skilled personnel and impacting service delivery and patient outcomes. Now, the nation's coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Dr. Mohammed Pate, recently said over 16,000 Nigerian doctors have left the country in the last 5 to 7 years to seek greener pastures abroad. It's no doubt a worrying situation. Dr. Pate also revealed that the doctor-to-population ratio in the country is now 3.9%, 3.9 now per 10,000, while the estimated cost of training one doctor exceeds $21,000, a figure, of course, that reflects the magnitude of public financing leaving the country. The minister further lamented that nurses and midwives who have left also thinned the number of healthcare workers in the country. According to him, the migration of health professionals from developing countries is not new, but it has accelerated in recent years. Pate emphasized that the phenomenon offers an opportunity to rethink and reshape the policies to manage the valuable health workforce in ways that benefit our countries first and foremost. Well, joining me to shed more light on this is Dr. Tuyum Ebaodu, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Medway Health Limited, based in Lagos. Doc, thank you very much for coming on the program. The minister's revelation, of course, quite worrying. 16,000 doctors leaving the country in the last 5 to 7 years. How worrying is the situation? Because it must be a lot of workload for those of you who are left behind and trying to save lives in the country.
Yeah, very concerning. Nobody will be happy with that amount of doctors leaving your health landscape. More importantly, when your capacity to produce more doctors is constrained. Not just doctors leaving Nigeria and going abroad, but doctors even in Nigeria leaving the medical practice and doing some other work. So they are both internal JACPA and external JACPA. So we're documenting the external one. But the reflection can be better grasped when you now look at the medical and dental council record and figure out that, barely we have less than 30,000 doctors practicing in Nigeria. This is a country, by 2030, I told you about 5 years' time, our population will be 263 million people. And for 263 million people, you are getting barely 50,000 doctors catering for them. There's no way you can deliver health outcomes with that numbers. And then if you look at that, our capacity to produce doctors in this country is just about 3,000 doctors. Total number of doctors produced by every medical school in Nigeria, 3,000 every year. And our shortfall is 250,000 doctors. So you can imagine, even if you are doing 3,000 every year consistently, the number of years is going to take for you to produce 250,000 to even meet that minimum standard before you start talking of supporting and maintaining. So it's a dire state, very, very dire state we find ourselves in. And then the thing is even worsened by the fact that recurrent strikes, industrial actions. I can tell you, until last week, when the medical senior consultants, they were on strike in the southwestern part of Nigeria, keeping the medical student at home. So it is what it is. Capacity to train, capacity to even absorb those numbers. If you look at the absorption rate, if it's about 7%, maybe you look at about 23%. So people want to become doctors, they don't have a space because in reality, there are not enough people to train them. So it has to be a holistic approach. It's not just by some paying lip service to policy of health workforce migration. It's not just things that kind of lip service.
What do you make of that policy? I mean, you just talked about that policy because that's a policy that the government launched not quite long ago. That's the policy on health workforce migration, and the whole idea, as the minister explained, is to check migration. Talking about better incentives for doctors, talking about providing, better equipment and all of that. It's a whole lot, quite encompassing now, I should say. What do you make of that policy? You think the policy will go far enough to address the situation?
First, let's commend the minister for thinking of that kind of policy, especially at this time. Unlike previous ministers who rather claim that we have sufficient doctors and we can now import them. Of course, we remember Adewale, who wants doctors to come and be sewing cloths. We remember Gige, who said that we have too many doctors and we can then export as many as possible. But this minister is being realistic and talk to the meat of the matter. So we're happy that he spoke about it. But of course, we understand the incentives given to doctors, either in terms of training, tax breaks, some collaboration with foreign countries, and all that to help encourage that, and then moving them to rural areas with government support. That is nice. That's very good. But there are fundamentals on which this policy can stand on. Number one fundamental is trust. You will agree with me, Badmos, that there is a breakdown of trust between government and the governed, and it has not returned. You've seen severally government making promises to doctors, resident doctors, and those promises are just promises. It never got implemented. That's number one. So we have to actually firm up the trust between us if we want this policy to work. Secondly, there are subnationals to health delivery. Federal government can have a beautiful policy papers. Have you domiciled in Zamfara? Have you domiciled in River? Have you domiciled in Lagos? So there are, okay, look at the issue of minimum wage, for instance. Beautiful as it is and wanting to drive anything, how many states are paying minimum wage? This policy will suffer the same fate where a governor will tell you that, listen, I don't have resources to manage those kind of things. And that will raise a lot of issues. No, and then fine-tuning, okay, because at the end of the day, you have to look at the issue of labor, migration law, and trying to limit people from moving around. And for some of us, it becomes concerning when government try to frame the medical profession as a corporate benefiting from their subsidies. That can even be queried. Let's face it, every graduate in Nigeria every graduate from Nigeria has benefited or is benefiting from these subsidies. Lawyers, journalists, politicians, everybody that benefit because you've gone to school. Did you pay the right thing? But again, even at that, doctors still pay far more. And then there's no scholarship to say that if you are studying medicine, you are studying nursing, you are studying pharmacy, this is a special scholarship for federal government for you. So what are we talking about? So when you frame a particular profession to look good, it's not proper. It will bring antagonism, it will bring quarrel, it will bring disagreement. So don't let us, they should stop that framing, because every time I hear that, oh, we have spent $21,000 to train each doctor, and there's a huge loss for us. And I ask them, how much did you use to train lawyers? How much do you use to train politicians and accountants? When they are leaving, even IT guys, when they are leaving, are they not huge loss to you? So what incentive are you giving to them? And I can tell you from personal experience that even some of us that have children in medical school, we know that we pay. We pay, honestly, we pay. If you have, whether you're a government institution or in private institution, you pay. So the government should, first of all, drop that kind of perception. It will raise anger and annoyance within people. Let us discuss honestly how we can deal with challenge of human resources for health. And of course, the capacity to expand training is nice. But again, you want to expand training, Deji. You want to expand training. Look at it. You have to absorb more medical students. You have to get more medical student teachers. You have to get more equipment, arrange hostels for them, put all these things together. This is a holistic thing. So in reality, you have to go and reframe the structure of your university to be able to absorb those people. It's not just by signing papers and reading it on. It's not just by press releases. Then secondly, after the number of, you have to assure that these people will not spend 10 years for a 6 years course. It's very disheartening. It will erode their what I call their commitment to the nation. Don't allow that to happen. And then Thirdly, there's residency, which means that you have to train specialized cadre of medical doctors. And even at that, when these doctors have finished training, to even have a place to absorb them for housemanship or internship is difficult. They come to me every time looking for somebody who can press button for them. We can't pretend as if we don't know that all these things are happening. And after that, some of them that have even done that and are looking for jobs, it has to be, you have to go and meet one politician, you have to go here, you have to go there. They won't give you.
Essentially, what you're saying, doctor, is that, look, yes, it's true we have shortage of doctors, but even those who have stayed back, those who are they just can't find job as well. And you're right. I mean, I've had situations.
They can't find job.
Yes,
they can't find job. Yeah, they can't find job. And then when this guy stay in his house, first year, second year, he's not finding job. You don't want him to go and write foreign exam and go away. What do you think he'll be feeling? Despite all the investment the parents has put on him, despite the fact that he has a life to live, you are not giving him job, and you are bringing policy to say that he cannot go away. I mean, that's quite untidy. So in reality, there are factors, there are grand factors we need to resolve clearly and clearly. If you want to be sincere, I am not talking about politics of health. You know, like I've always mentioned over and over, the politics of health is the real problem of policy of health. You know, you might want to sound nice, okay, but on the ground, let us put this thing down on the ground. And then you look at it that even recently, we've seen quite a lot of hospitals being attacked. We've seen doctors being kidnapped, ransom being paid. And then you want, if they can escape from kidnappers, then you want them to do what? To come and stay and be running around and saying that, listen, I'm patriotic. You saw one dentist that was on the way to pick something and then travel abroad. She ended up in the hands of kidnappers in that Abuja Kaduna tree, and of course she died. So let's get our basics right. And here we are. You've seen doctors tell you that they are really committed to establishing facilities to train more people to make themselves, to make more doctors available in Nigeria, and they have to pay 2-point-something million for NEPA. Please, let's be honest. We've not started talking about how to address these issues. There are external issues to health that is affecting health. There are even deeper health issues that is affecting health. And then if you want to rank universities, medical schools in Africa, of course, yes, you probably see Nsukka, maybe in Africa, coming at number 24 or so, and maybe if 23 and if 24 and all that kind of thing. But even at that, tell you, if I want to do stem cell technology, and that's my area in medicine, that which is of course are the new things in medicine. Which university will do it in Nigeria? Which university will do it? Must everybody be gynecologists? So in reality, we have not addressed that issue. So, and then to address that issue, we know that first and foremost, we must actually have to go and reform our education system. If you don't reform the education system, and you're talking about doctors running away, not running away, we're still wasting our time. You have to move money into the medical training.
Unfortunately, we haven't got time. But let me ask you this final question before we end this. For some of you who have decided to stay, I mean, you are here. I believe you have doctors who are working for you who are here as well, and you must have met several other young doctors who are here as well. What is the motivation for you to stay back?
You see, first and foremost, it has never been my style to stay abroad. If I had wanted to stay abroad, as far back as 1999 or 2000, I would have been in America, because that was around the first time I entered America, and I was thinking of staying until I looked at the whole process and felt that no, Nigeria needs more doctor. If I had wanted to stay, but of course, when I went studying in Sweden, they asked me whether I'm going to stay back. I said no, I'll go back to Nigeria. There must be something in you that puts you in Nigeria and want to serve. Of course, then my own mother was falling sick. I can't leave her for anybody, and I have so many other people that will fall into that category. We wanted to stay, but of course, training doctors have been, quite interesting and amazing. But I can tell you sincerely, out of the many doctors that have trained, I can mention Ivy League institutions they are in America, in South Africa, in Ireland, in UK, and I encourage them that, listen, don't be like me. You need to maximize what your knowledge. You need to improve on yourself. One of my doctors is actually in Cedars-Sinai Hospital in California, one of the top guys on stem cell research, and he's been taken to America. One of them is in University of Pittsburgh Medical College. He's a wonderful urologist. You know, so they're just all over the place. But the simple point is that I've told them, this is the reality of my country. If you want to maximize health and do well for yourself and for your family and for your mental state, that we are not ready yet. So if you want to be ready, we must be able to encourage backward migration, what I would call jackpada, you know, in such a way that the light is available, security is there. We've put some infrastructure in place to allow people, even if you're in South Africa, in Nigeria, South Africa, to come and set up facilities there. That seems to be happening in a few years back, but I'm not sure the zeal is increasing. I'm not sure the zeal is increasing because the trajectory of the nations is not helping them really.
All right, I think
we can do better.
We'll just have to leave it there. But I want to thank you and those of you who have stayed behind, because I mean, you're doing a wonderful job. If not for you, I wonder what our healthcare system would be like. And the hope.
Thank you for thanking us.
Yeah,
we're still here.
And the hope is that someday soon we'll have this, jackpada trend, actually rise, and we'll see more of our doctors come back with their expertise, and that will definitely help our healthcare system. Thank you very much, Dr. Tuime Baodu, for coming on the program and sharing your thoughts with us. Thanks a lot. All right, that's how much we can take on the program this week. We thank you very much for watching. I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.
في عدد كبير من المتهمين كانوا داخل السجون لفترات طويلة. عشان يحددوا لك الجلسة انت بتكون الليلة كاملة ما نمت. فنحن برضو بنجي نتكلم معاهم وبنطمنهم انه الحاجة اللي ربنا كاتبها لك ما بتفوتك، وانت قعدت زمن طويل ومنتظر اليوم ده. الليلة اليوم ده جاء وانت خليك جاهز له، والزمن اللي بديك له والقاضي ده زمن محدد. انت حاول تذكر فيه كل الأحداث واحكيها بنفس تفاصيلها عشان القاضي يقدر ياخذ قرار في الحاجة دي ويقدر يساعدك.
We hope that the government will prepare an implementation mechanism to ensure that the recommendations of the Judicial Reform Committee are implemented in a graduated manner, subject of course to availability of funds and availability of personnel. But this will lead to a comprehensive development and extension of justice system in this country, which all political parties and all parts of society agree.
On the news, 6 Nigerian tourists detained in Cape Verde released, says federal government. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu inaugurates presidential committee to deliver first census since 2006. And House of Reps cautions celebrities and influencers against promoting registered investment schemes in Nigeria. Many thanks for joining us on the news on TV360 Nigeria. I'm Tamilore Akinkolye. Now, the Nigerian government has confirmed the release of 6 Nigerian women who were recently detained in Cape Verde. Initially accused of entering the country without sufficient funds, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs clarified that the women were wrongly accused of trafficking, a claim that was later proven false. According to the ministry spokesperson Kimebi Ebeniefa, the tourists had traveled to Cape Verde for holiday but were unjustly detained. The release was secured through Nigeria's diplomatic mission in Guinea-Bissau. Before their freedom was secured, the chairman of the Nigerians and Diaspora Commission, Abike Dabiri-Erewa, had called for their immediate release, urging Cape Verdean authorities to treat the women with dignity. In a statement by NIDCOM, the women were said to have been pulled out of a queue on arrival, had their phones confiscated, and were locked up in an immigration deportation facility. The government has now confirmed that they have left Cape Verde and are safely out of custody. And the Nigerian government has called for a stronger collaboration between the military and media stakeholders to enhance national security efforts and combat terrorism more effectively. Speaking at the first quarter media stakeholder seminar in Abuja, the Minister of Information Mohammed Idris emphasized the power of accurate information in modern warfare and urged the press to strike a balance between informing the public and protecting national interests. Now, TV360's Okbayemi Owosheni has more details in this next report.
The role of the media in warfare is no longer just about reporting events. It's about shaping perceptions, countering propaganda, and strengthening public trust. This was the central message at the first quarter media stakeholders seminar for 2025 held in Abuja. Representing the Minister of Information and National Orientation, the Director General of the Voice of Nigeria says the Armed Forces of Nigeria deserve commendation for their timely initiative, which reflects a deep understanding of the role of communication in modern warfare. The minister acknowledges the pivotal role of the Directorate of Defense Media Operations in countering terrorist narratives.
The Tinubu administration is unrelenting in its commitment to overcoming these threats and ensuring the safety and security of all Nigerians. Under President Tinubu's the renewal agenda of the cardinal objective is undoubtedly to guarantee our national security through clear and strategic focus on investing in the right tools, system, and personnel to secure our nation. This includes massive investment in the acquisition of military assets, the training and retraining of our armed forces, security personnel, and the strengthening of intelligence gathering mechanism across all levels. This effort reflects the seriousness with which President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is confronting the security challenges head-on.
Also speaking at the event, the Minister of Defense, Mohammed Badaru, who was also duly represented, says the seminar underscores the media's critical role in shaping public perception, strengthening national security, and supporting the success of military operations.
I urge the Directorate of Defense Media Operations to manage interactions with the media and public to promote accurate information and mold opinions. I also enjoin the Directorate to conduct information operations to disrupt or influence adversaries' decision making. We should also develop and implement strategic communication plans to support our military objectives. You must remember that effective media operation requires coordination across various stakeholders, including military formations and units, as well as government agencies and other partners.
While media operations offer immense strategic benefits, they also present significant challenges, such as the rise of fake news, deep fake technologies, and adversarial information warfare through misinformation, which can spread faster than ever before. Additionally, the 24-hour news cycle and social media demand real-time responses, requiring Joint Task Force commanders to maintain constant vigilance. It is on this premise that it becomes crucial that media operations be professionalized, proactive, and fully integrated